Hello, Oilers fans. Welcome to the pregame report between the Edmonton Oilers and the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Oilers are coming off a 3-2 overtime comeback victory against the Detroit Red Wings to get themselves back to 500 in the NHL standings, which is really good to see. The Oilers have also won 4 of their last 6 games. They are 4-1-1 in those games, and you can really feel that they are starting to turn a bit of a corner here. Columbus, though, this is going to be a tough matchup. Historically, I would say until about last season, the Oilers have dominated the Columbus Blue Jackets over the past several years, but last season and the year before, 2023, Columbus has, I think, won 4 of the last 5 games against the Oilers in their head-to-head matchups. Columbus has Edmonton's number a little bit in the last 2 years, and last year they gave the Oilers fits every time they played each other. The Oilers did come away with a win last year. One of their wins was during that big win streak that they went on. But Columbus, they ended up winning the final matchup of the season against each other last season. So if you're the Edmonton Oilers, you cannot ever look past your opponent. The Columbus Blue Jackets this season, they score a ton of goals. They do give up a lot of goals, so I expect this game to be a little bit more high scoring. The Oilers are on the second half of a back-to-back tonight, so I expect them to maybe not be as defensively strong as you would expect them to be, just because, this type of game, it's an early game, 5 p.m. Mountain. And the fact that they're on the second half of a back-to-back. Obviously, you don't want to make excuses for any team. Last night, Detroit was on the second half of a back-to-back, and they gave Edmonton fits. The Oilers, as the game went along, did progressively get a little bit better, but they're going to have to play a full 60 minutes if they're going to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they're going to have to be aware in the defensive zone because Columbus can score in bunches, and they have scored in bunches this season. Columbus recently beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-2. That was just a few nights ago, and if you're the Edmonton Oilers, if you're not careful, Columbus is going to make you pay. And there's a few players on Columbus that I do want to give a shout out to. Players that are having really strong starts to the year. Marchenko has 4 goals, 9 points. Chinakhov, 7 points. Monahan has 7 points. Their forward group, there's a ton of depth going on in that forward group. Many players with 3, 4, 5 points or more. And then on defense, of course, Christensen has 4 points. Zach Werenski, who I think doesn't get enough credit at all for how good of a defenseman he is, he has 7 points. Severson has 4 points. And David Jiricek is someone that I would like to watch for Columbus. I had him ranked really highly on my draft board a few years ago. So David Jiricek on D, if he does get to play for Columbus tonight, if you're an Oilers fan, keep an eye on him. He's a young defensive prospect who I think is going to turn into someone really, really special here. And there's a lot of players on Columbus that I am excited to watch. So, if you end up enjoying this full pregame report, make sure to hit that like button. If you really like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are not yet subscribed. And, of course, friendly reminder, I will have all of my content available on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. All of these videos that I make here on YouTube, they are converted into audio for those platforms. So, let's get into the projected lineup and then, of course, the game day predictions. And like always, let me know your game day predictions. Let me know who your player to watch is, and let me know your score prediction. I would love to hear it. I love interacting with everyone in the comment section. Let's jump into it. So the projected lineup, I don't expect too many changes for the Oilers. As of the recording of this video, there has been no official lineup changes announced. However, do not be surprised if maybe there's a change on D, just because it is the back-to-back. You might see Dermott get back into the lineup. On the forward group as well, I'm not sure how that top 6 is going to look. I know as the game progressed against Detroit, Draisaitl was moved up to the McDavid line. We'll see if he remains on his own line to start this game. But the top line, we're going RNH, McDavid, and Zach Hyman, who is still looking for his first goal of the season. Though Hyman has been around it, he has been getting a lot of opportunities. I would like to see Zach Hyman score his first goal of the year. If he goes 10 games without a goal, I will be starting to become a little bit concerned about where he projects to finish the season and the depth that takes away from the Edmonton Oilers at this point. Second line, Vasily Podkolzin with Leon Draisaitl and Victor Arvidsson. Arvidsson's been playing really good. Draisaitl, he had 2 goals and an assist last night on his 29th birthday for the Edmonton Oilers to lead them over the Detroit Red Wings. Vasily Podkolzin, he had the best analytics, the advanced stats against Detroit on the Edmonton Oilers. However, he was on the ice for 2 goals against, and the coaching staff didn't seem to trust him. In the third period, he got very little ice time, and of course in overtime, it ended so quickly we didn't see him in OT. For Podkolzin, though, he leads the team in hits. He has 24 hits on the season, which is by far more than anyone else on the Oilers. The next closest forward for hits, I believe, is Derek Ryan with 5. Yeah, the Oilers do not hit, by the way. Darnell Nurse only has 12 hits this season. The Oilers are not physical at all. They are focusing on puck possession. They are focusing on attacking on transition. They are focusing on a cycle game. The Edmonton Oilers are possibly, and I'll have to look it up, they might possibly be the least physical team in the NHL right now. I would like to see a bit more bruising going on. Now, Podkolzin does lead the team in hits. He has 24 hits this season. But one interesting stat, and, I know hitting as a stat isn't, it doesn't win or lose you a game, but I would like to see a bit more tenacity and physicality, is Corey Perry has 1 hit in 9 games. Now, I know hitting is a subjective stat. It's a stat that not everyone totally agrees with on any given night, depending where a team plays. There can be bias in terms of who is hitting who and how the hits are calculated. However, Corey Perry with only 1 hit in 9 games, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But if that is the case, Corey Perry, I'd like to see him be a little bit more physical. And Connor Brown, only 1 hit as well. It's interesting to look at when you look at the hits on this team. Connor McDavid has 9 hits. So, you know what? He's actually second on the team, second on the forward group in hits is Connor McDavid. So good for McDavid. Obviously, you don't expect him to throw the body around, but averaging about 1 hit per game, they've got to start hitting more. That's just the reality. Again, you don't have to completely bruise your opponent, but the fact that this team is not physical is something that I did want to talk about. Third line tonight, Jeff Skinner, Adam Henrique, Connor Brown. We need more from that line. I would like to see a bit more depth scoring. Jeff Skinner has started to cool down from his hot start. However, I don't entirely blame him. He is being paired with a lot of players who are kind of black holes when it comes to the offense. But for Jeff Skinner, I'd like to see him sniff that crease a little bit more and hopefully maybe get some time back in the top 6. I'd love to see him with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman. I'd love to see what he could do up there. We'll see if Chris Knobloch makes any adjustments. Fourth line, we're going to go Matthias Janmark with Derek Ryan and Corey Perry. This is a line that has been okay. I like Derek Ryan and Corey Perry's play. I have not cared very much for Matthias Janmark's play, so hopefully Janmark can start to find his game. Janmark does not have a goal this season, and neither does Derek Ryan. So if you're looking for a fourth line goal, I would love to see it tonight. Need a little bit of depth here against the Blue Jackets because every line on Columbus can get rolled out and be an offensive threat. I would like to see that for the Oilers as well. On defense, you'll have Ekholm with Evan Bouchard. Bouchard has scored in consecutive games. He had a goal and an assist last night, so we're expecting more from Bouchard here. I would say defensively, he looked a little shaky against Detroit. Once I caught up on the game and was able to watch his game specifically, Evan Bouchard, I'd like to see just a little bit more from him on the defensive side because the offense is starting to arrive, and we all expected that. We all knew that Bouchard wouldn't go the majority of the season without putting up the points. So for Evan Bouchard, let's see if he can build his defensive game as well. Nurse and Stetcher is who I have projected together. However, that could easily change, so keep an eye out for lineup adjustments. And then, of course, Kulak with Emberson, who I believe have played very, very well. Emberson did not get a ton of ice time last night against Detroit once the bench started to get shortened in that third period, trying to get the comeback, which is disappointing because I think Ty Emberson and Brett Kulak have played phenomenal together. I'd like to see them together more, and I would like to see Kulak and Nurse a lot less together. Leave these defense pairs the way they are. Let these guys build some chemistry and let them build their games. In net, we're going to have Stuart Skinner. And after Calvin Pickard's performance last night against Detroit, Stuart Skinner is going to have to put together a third consecutive strong start for himself. Of course, we've talked about the Carolina game. He played very well. The Pittsburgh game, he had the shutout. Hopefully tonight against Columbus, Stuart Skinner continues to build on that game. And let's see if the Oilers can get a fourth straight game where goaltending is very strong and gives them a chance to win. Now, with that out all the way, let's get into the game day predictions. But first, we'll talk a little bit about the advanced analytics for Columbus. They are 3-3-1. They have an expected goals for of 47.21% at 5-on-5. Which, by the way, I get all of these stats from Natural Stat Trick. Please check out Natural Stat Trick's website if you are into the numbers like I am. I love the way they break things down. Great website. Columbus's power play, 15%. Their penalty kill, 80%. So Columbus has a great penalty kill, not a very strong power play at the moment. So if both teams get power plays, I'll be curious to see if they're able to break through. Columbus scores a whopping 3.86 goals per game. They score in bunches. This is a team that puts the puck in the net. They have a lot of offensive threats. And like I mentioned, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, if you are not playing careful defense, they are going to absolutely make you pay tonight. but they do give up 3.43 goals per game. Their goaltending is shaky. Defensively, they can be shaky. They give up a lot of goals off the rush. So if you're the Edmonton Oilers and you want to take advantage of that, try and slow them down in the neutral zone and try and attack on transition. Their Corsi for 49.52%, shots for 51.18%. So this is a team that, I look at their analytics, they're almost 50% in a lot of the analytical categories. This is a team that, they play strong. They don't entirely, they're not stuck in their own zone a lot, and they don't, put a lot of pressure on you offensively. This is a team that does play with a lot of speed, and they will attack you if you are sleeping on defense. For the Oilers, they are 4-4-1 on the season with a chance to get above 500 for the first time this year. And the fact that they won their fourth game and got to 500 in game number 9 instead of game number 25, which happened last year, is when the Oilers got to 500. That's a great start for me. I do like that Edmonton is finding a way to turn their game around right now. Expected goals for 56.03%. Power play is at 13%. Penalty kill is sitting at 60%. The penalty kill is starting to get a little bit better. Now, the Oilers, I find there's not a lot of power plays in any of the games that they play. Usually they get a couple power plays. The opponent gets a couple. We haven't seen a game where Edmonton has taken 5, 6, or 7 penalties, and their opponent has also taken 5, 6, or 7 penalties. It's all been even strength. It's all been 5-on-5, so we'll be curious to see how the officiating continues. Whether it continues to stay even. I found power plays just in general this year across the league seem to be down. Let me know in the comments if you've noticed that as well. Could just be me, though. Edmonton scores 2.33 goals per game, but the offense is starting to turn it around. They give up 3.22 goals against per game. Goaltending starting to figure it out, starting to bring that goals against number down. Corsi for 58.59%. Shots for 58.21%. Now, my player to watch tonight, talked about him in the lineups, Evan Bouchard. Evan Bouchard is someone who offensively is starting to turn his game around. Defensively, the advanced stats are very, very much in his favor. He has incredible underlying numbers. However, he just looks a little unorthodox sometimes. He looks like he's struggling with the timing of a decision with the puck, and sometimes he looks a little bit shaky in that D zone. I'd like to see a little bit more confidence in the defensive zone because we know how good he is. We know how good he can play. And because that offense is starting to turn it up now, Evan Bouchard is my player to watch. And my score prediction, I'm going to say 5-3 Oilers. Let's have an entertaining, high-scoring game. We're going to go 5-3 Edmonton. I think this is going to be a fun one, and hopefully the Oilers come out on top. However, as I mentioned, do not be surprised if Columbus ends up putting up 5 or 6 goals themselves. Edmonton's got to be careful tonight. That is it from me. That is my pregame report. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Hit subscribe if you really enjoyed it. And after the game, I will have a post-game reaction up. And then tomorrow, I will have a day after discussion. I will be combining the Columbus game and the Detroit game in that day after, just to combine the 2 back-to-backs together, since I can't really do that individually during back-to-back seasons or games, sessions. I don't know what I'm saying. I appreciate everyone's support. It truly means the world. Oil Country, you are seriously the best. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you after the game. Tell someone that you love them. Fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. Let's go Oilers.